So I'm literally filming this while I'm packing because we have to leave Georgia today, unfortunately. But before that, if you're planning to visit the country of Georgia in 2021, these are the 10 things that you need to keep in mind before your departure. Without further ado, let's get started. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel Just Go with Amreen. If this is the first time you guys are tuning in, then welcome. My name is Amreen and I have been a travel vlogger for a little over a year now. For the last 3 weeks, you have seen that I have been enjoying my time in the beautiful country of Georgia post-COVID. We have explored everything from the capital of the country, which is Tbilisi, the wine region, Kakheti,
You are kidding.
and the Caucasus Mountains, which is the Godavari region. But today's vlog is slightly different. This is a comprehensive guide of 10 essentials that you will need if you are planning a trip to the country of Georgia in 2021. Without further ado, let's go and let's dive into it. Let's start with number 1. I'm doing makeup, don't mind me because we have to leave for the airport in like an hour. So I have very little time to actually do this. So number 1 is the best time of the year. Now when you Google the best time to visit Georgia, it tells you May, June and September. So fair enough, May, June and September is the best time to visit if you want to feel the summer, if you're a summer person. But if you want to experience the Caucasus Mountains in its prime, which I mean the snow, if you want to experience -10 like me, then March is the best time to visit because January and February are the most freezing months and most of the roads are blocked. So I would say the second half of March is the best time to visit the mountains if you want to experience snow. Point number 2 is the currency of the country of Georgia. The currency that is used here is Georgian lari. It's best to carry US dollars when you come here and get it exchanged right here. Most of the times the exchange rate differs from what you get at the airport and what you get outside in the city. But that's not the case in Tbilisi. 1 USD is equivalent to 3.3 Georgian lari as of today. Do not make the mistake of exchanging your currency in Godavari or Kazbegi or any of those places. Overall, in that area is expensive. Alright, all set. Just waiting for our driver to come pick us up. I've actually made notes so I don't miss anything that I need to tell you guys. So, number 3 is the SIM card. We always buy our SIM cards from the airport itself. We need data to like move around the city. We use Google Maps extensively. So we always purchase the SIM card from the airport. The SIM card itself is absolutely free. We bought 2 SIM cards. One of them was data only. I got 4 GB data for my iPad. 4 GB data and it costed us 10 lari. And we got 1 SIM card for my husband's phone, which is 500 minutes, and 4 GB data, which costed us 15 lari. You can add as many minutes as you want and add as much data, of course, and you gotta pay accordingly, but the SIM card itself is absolutely free. Now, moving on to point number 4, which is a heavy one. It is COVID-related information. Okay, let's start with that. So there are a few things that you need to understand. Yes, the country of Georgia is open for tourism, but there are a few conditions. Number 1, if you are vaccinated, both the doses, you need to show your certificate of your vaccine before you depart. Now, if you are not vaccinated, then you need to have your PCR test done before you depart, and you need to print your report, your negative COVID report out, signed and stamped by the lab, and produce that before you depart. Number 2, you need to do another PCR test after you arrive in Tbilisi on the 3rd day. Now, since we got our trip organized by City One Travel and Tours, they took care of that. The lab guys, they call Mega Lab by the way, they came to our hotel room and got the test done. It costed us 100 lari. Generally it costs about 120, 130, but we were lucky enough to get it for 100 lari per person. I just have to stress on the fact that if we had been vaccinated, then we would have saved more than $100. Yes, we would have saved more than $100 if we were vaccinated.
Before you board the flight from your home country, you need to have a couple of documents. One, obviously your printed ticket, return ticket. I also printed my health insurance, the international travel insurance. Although they didn't ask for it, but it's good to have it on you. Number 3 is the printed, signed and stamped negative COVID report. And the last thing is an email. So there is a link that you need to register before you depart from your home country and arrive in Georgia. There is a link you need to register on, and after that they'll let you board. So I'll leave that link down below in the description box for you to check it out.
Now moving to number 5, masks and curfews. This is something that I didn't know much about, but it is extremely strict in Tbilisi to wear masks everywhere.
You have the COVID test. Yeah, I have it. Those are the cops.
The curfew starts from 9 p.m. all the way till 5 a.m. So there is no discos, there is no nightlife. There are bars and pubs, they're all open. You can dine in the restaurants, but 9 p.m. strictly you need to be back in your room. If you don't do so, the cops are literally everywhere. You will be fined 2,000 lari. If you're not wearing a mask, you'll be fined 20 lari. Having said that, when we were in Gadari, most of the people were not wearing masks. Now I think that was because it is outdoors and the temperature was like -10, -15. It is really difficult to breathe if you're wearing a mask. So even if there were cops around, people were walking around without masks. That is what my observation was. Number 6, where to stay. So we did a mistake. I chose a hotel which said city center. Sure, it was city center, but it was far away from where you're supposed to stay. So I would suggest stay as close as possible to Freedom Square. I stayed in a hotel called Communal Hotel, which is absolutely impeccable. The only drawback was that it was really far, but otherwise there was absolutely nothing wrong with the hotel. When we came back from Gadari to Tbilisi, we switched hotels and we are staying in something called Iota Hotel, and it is much closer. It's in Gadari. I love the hotel. I love the Airbnb I chose. So there are lots of hotels there. The best hotel there is Marco Polo, and that is located in close to the town of Gadari, but the actual gondola and everything is pretty far from there. You will probably need to get a taxi every single time you want to go get onto a gondola and go all the way up to the mountain. So I chose to stay in a place called New Gadari. Now I was researching a lot about Gadari as to where to stay, and I figured out that New Gadari, especially if you don't have a car, is the perfect place to stay because it's like a tiny little complex with like 5-6 buildings, and there are like so many restaurants there, bars and casinos, everything, and the gondola is right outside your doorstep, and there are supermarkets as well. But most of them, in fact all of them, are Airbnb. They are all apartments. They are not hotels. They may be serviced hotel apartments, but still apartments. So I have last 3 points to go. Bear with me, we're almost done. Number 7, restaurants. What's there to say about restaurants? Now I'll tell you what's there to say about restaurants. Since this is the post-COVID pandemic times, don't rely on Google, TripAdvisor or Culture Trip. Everything first of all needs to close before 9 p.m. because there's a curfew. So the first night we got here, we almost didn't get to eat any dinner because the restaurant the hotel guy suggested we should go and eat closed at 7:30 p.m. So find out the timings of the place that you wish to eat in. Call the place that you wish to eat in to find out if they are even open for dine-in. Some places are only open for takeaways. Some places are open for dine-in and takeaways. When we went to Gadari, we had literally 3 restaurants only. That too because we were staying in New Gadari. I don't even know what would happen if we would have not stayed in New Gadari. We would be stuck eating in the hotel all the time. Thankfully, we were staying in Airbnb, so we could also cook our own food in our room. Now, there was something that we absolutely had no idea about and we were shocked, and I was very sad that this is what happened. When we came back from New Godavari back to Tbilisi, it was a Saturday and we are leaving on a Sunday. So we practically had 24 hours, which is a weekend in Tbilisi. This was the only time we had in Tbilisi. The restaurants are not open for dine-in during the weekend due to the pandemic. And not just that, like even I wanted to see a lot of places, like there were like cable car things that I had in mind, funicular thing that goes up in the mountain and things like that, and everything was shut. All that was shut irrespective, not just because it was Saturday, but it is just shut because of the pandemic situation. But restaurants are not functioning on Saturday and Sunday as of now. Number 8, clothing. Yes, layer up. Please, since I am here in March, I can only tell you the winter wear that I'm carrying. So don't forget the thermals, everything. I have thermal socks, thermal, this is thermal right now what I'm wearing inside. It's full sleeves and it's thermal. I have thermal pants, and I do not forget the snow boots at all, because in Godavari the snow was literally till your calf. So you need high snow boots, a cap. I also have earmuffs, gloves, thermal gloves. Basically just layer up a lot and you will be just fine. To be honest, there were times in Godavari when it was minus 15, I was feeling warm.
And I think it's like a minus 10 or whatever, but I'm feeling hot. Like I was wearing a scarf, I took it off. I was wearing gloves, I took it off. I think I'm going to take off my jacket. It's hot.
Now that brings me to point number 9. Renting ski equipment. Now I've actually made notes of all these things because I didn't really rent anything out. So if you want to rent out the ski equipment, it costs you 40 lari. If you want to get an instructor for 1 hour for one person to teach you how to ski, it costs 70 lari. And if you want to rent out, if you don't want to learn any of the skiing and all that kind of stuff, and you just want to play around in a sledge, they cost just 20 lari for an entire day. Final point, number 10, food. Their cuisine is very pork dominant is what I realized, and unfortunately we don't eat any pork. They do have kebabs. They have kebabs, they have pork kebab, they have lamb, they have chicken. You have got to try a few things. Make a note of this. You have to try the trout, you have to try the king kali, which is basically their version of dim sums or dumplings. It's amazing, by the way. King kali predominantly is made out of pork. You need to specify and tell them you want it made out of beef and not pork. Do try the kachapuri. Of course, there are many versions of kachapuri, but I think we had the most richest version of kachapuri. It had a lot of cheese. It's basically cheese and bread. It's their version of pizza. So there was cheese in the bread, like in the filling of the bread, and there was cheese on top of the bread, and there were slices of cheese on top of that as well. There was a lot of cheese basically, and we had that. And apart from that, you can always try the barbecues and the kebabs as well. So that's all. Those were your 10 essentials that you need to keep in mind before you travel to the country of Georgia in 2021. I hope that was helpful, and if you like this vlog, give me a big fat thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon. Next week, we go back to local travel. If you want to see the other vlogs related to the country of Georgia, I'm going to link them all down below in the description box. Please go ahead and check them out. Take care, guys. I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Cheers. Mwah. Today.
However, don't change the mind without.
Oh. But the now mostly
Most of the time.
most of the times the curry